Welcome to the third and last video of this series. On the first video, we spoke about how to identify if I'm being a doormat from love or from fear. Second video, we spoke about how we created or how we became a doormat through our childhood issues and through all these kinds of traumas and wounds that we have. Third video, which is now, we're going to start talking about how can I change this. If I really want to become a different kind of person and create different kinds of results in my life to the relationships that I have. So now that you've identified that you are a doormat and you want to change this, the idea is to understand where it came from. As we spoke about in the second video, you found out that these fears that created all the guilt and shame inside of you, feeling that you're not enough, that you're not good, that you should be a different kind of person, that who you truly are might create results, negative results among other people of not acknowledging you, probably giving you the back or feeling bad about you, that you have to become this person, this different kind of person. The idea is to understand that that we have are through the fears of other people, of the caregivers. One of the communication errors that we have in the world is to communicate through our fears. So if we see somebody, for example, doing something that we haven't been able to do, we might push them to do it since we couldn't do it, or we might limit them or not help them or even prohibit them to do what we couldn't do. This also comes from our fears. So our parents, our caregivers had all these kinds of fears. I repeat, this is not to condemn them. This happens and this always has happened. But I don't want to justify them because I'm still having the issue right now in this moment. I'm feeling like a doormat. I'm feeling good about myself. So I have to acknowledge it and put this in black and white. They had their fears. They communicated and transmitted those fears, not only verbally, but emotionally. We, being children, can receive their emotions without that verbal communication. We can feel when they're sad. We can feel when they're mad. And we get that to us. If we have a lot of blame inside of us, we receive when they're mad and we might feel it's our fault, making us feel even worse about ourselves. So the idea is to first identify, okay, why do I need to become a doormat? What am I trying to gain out of this? I'm trying to gain acknowledgement, love, acceptance, feeling that I'm sharing with somebody, probably get a family out of it. I'm sorry to say this, but up to a certain point we use people, and they use us also. Although we mistakenly believe it's love. It's not like that. Love is completely different. So if I give more, I'm loving you more. It's not that way. So why do I use this person? Why am I in a relationship? Why do I feel that if I depend on how that person feels or what that person gives to me, I feel better with myself? What am I trying to fill? What is that emotional void that I'm trying to gain out of and trying to make myself feel that somebody loves me, that I'm important to somebody? All these kinds of things. Once you start identifying this, then you start identifying from your childhood years who created this in you. Repeat, it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. It's not saying you have the worst parents possible, or now that you probably are a parent, you can have, you can feel that also you're doing something bad. We'll change this because we don't know how to communicate without our fears. So what happens here is that they gave us those fears. They probably had fears of seeing you in a certain way that you were doing something that they couldn't do, and they transmitted these fears. They saw that you were trying to be a dreamer and they were scared of being a dreamer, so they say, stop that. Or if you want to be an artist, or if you want to be a very ambitious person and you have all these dreams, all these kinds of things, they probably made you feel that you're wrong. So you want to feel good about yourself. That's where you tend to look for in a relationship. So the idea is to identify who was it, my father, my mother, my sister, my brother, a teacher, whomever. And to understand that those fears are not yours, it's theirs. So once you start identifying this, the idea is to give those fears back to them. I'm not saying go to them physically if they're still alive and saying, you are an asshole, you gave me this fear. No, because you won't gain anything out of that. You'll go into a pissing contest, you'll probably feel worse, they'll probably say you're wrong, whatever. The idea here is to look for another venue to be able to bring out what I really feel to that person and giving back those fears. So one of the exercises that I tend to use a lot with people has to do with writing these things down. So, for example, I saw that my father probably made me feel that I was not enough. I need to look for acceptance. So I tend to look for acceptance in other people. What do I do in that moment? I start to write down, imagining him in front of me. And I start saying, you know what? You gave me these fears. I put them down very detailed so I can understand that what I'm saying to the person is not general. You gave me these fears, period. No, what kind of fears? You gave me the fear of not feeling good about myself. You gave me the fear of having to ask for acceptance in other people. And you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm an adult in this moment. Here, what I'm trying to also, through this letter, is help our inner child communicate what he or she couldn't communicate when he or she was little. So I'm going to give that space. And I'm going to start saying to that person, to my father, cut it out. I don't want this. I'm giving this back to you. Buddha had a saying, if I give you a gift and you don't receive it, where's the gift at? My hands. The one that wanted to give it to you. So if I give back this fear, it's not that I'm saying anything. People sometimes get scared around this exercise because I'm like, putting a bad juju on them or bad energy. I'm not doing anything of that. I'm just writing down a letter that I'm saying, these are not mine. These are your fears, period. You can do whatever you want with them. These are yours. Please, I'm giving them back. And I also do sometimes like an exercise if I had them in my heart and I throw it back at them. I write this down. Once I finish the letter, I burn it. I'm not going to read it again. I'm not going to give it to that person. I'm not going to leave it laying down around there because somebody might read it. I'm just going to say, these are not mine. This is an empowering exercise where I finally take action in my life saying, I identify what is happening here. This is not mine. I'm going to give it back. Once I give it back, I burn this card, this letter, and I go back to myself and start saying, I really don't need to be accepted by anybody because now I'm going to start accepting myself. And I'm going to start going into a different space with myself. And I'm going to try to change myself. And I'm going to start acknowledging who I truly was and saying, I love you, but not, I love you. No, it's I really, truly, deeply love you. You never did anything wrong, and everything that you did was to look out for me. Probably didn't have the tools to do it in the right way. Probably you didn't know how to do it differently. Now, between the adult and the child, we're going to unite. We're going to make a team. And we're going to start doing things differently. First of all, you're not going to start asking for acceptance outside for anybody. Because I accept you. The adult accepts the child. And we start creating this bond. Let me put a disclaimer here. This exercise is not to do it once, to do it several times, because there are layers here. It's like the onion. So I continue doing this exercise and I start letting everything out. So I won't have to look outside of me for other people to help me out with this. I don't start projecting onto other people, my father, my mother, or whoever, to try to get what I couldn't get when I was little. So this, I know, was a short video series. I wanted to give it out to start opening up your mind and your heart to new kinds of way of looking at yourself and looking at relationships. If you're ever interested in probably going more deeply into this, I would love to talk with you. I offer a free session where we'll hang out for an hour. We'll be able to talk about what is really happening in your life and other kinds of issues other than the doormat. and see where it's coming from, and see if I can help you out with it, and if you feel good about working with me also. So if you're interested in this, there will be below a button where you can push it and write me an email, and we'll get in contact and get that and schedule that free session and get you living a better life, a life of feeling more in peace with yourself, feeling good with yourself, hanging around with other people and being in a relationship with other people. I wish you all the best. Thank you for hanging around these 3 videos. I hope you gained some value out of it. That was my main interest here. And I'll hopefully see you around. Bye.